What's up, guys? It's Benchez, and welcome back to Asagao Academy. Our Husbando quest continues. In the last episode, we met up with Satch. We talked to John. We found out we're in the same class together. We're excited about it. Lots of cool stuff is going on, and now we're actually on our way to our first class. So let's see where our story takes place today. Poppy Hall was lined with the fluorescent lights and Asagao blue lockers. The lack of students milling around the hallways indicated that we were a bit late. We ran up the stairs and made it to the classroom just as the bell rang. So we got there just in the nick of time. Just in the nick of time. My heart caught in my throat. Thankfully, the teacher hadn't come yet. Instead, students clumped together in tight pods and milled around the classroom, catching up on vacation news.
John.
Thank you so much for showing me to class, John.
See you later.
No problem. I'll see you around. He waved and disappeared into the wiggling mass of students. I glanced around the room looking for an empty seat. Hana? Mai peeled herself out from between a cuddling couple. Was that Jontron you were talking to? Jontron? Yeah. Mai's eyes widened, and I couldn't help but feeling a little smug. Because we're getting to know the people that Mai wants to know. I realized I didn't know the way to class after you and I got separated, and he offered to walk me. I like how confident Hana looks right there. We're getting it. Mai emitted a high-pressured squeal. Jontron walked you to class? Oh my gosh, you have to tell me everything. She grabbed me by the wrist and then pulled me to the empty desk behind the corner of the room, right next to the window. I saved you a seat. I slid in and took off my backpack, holding it onto the side of my desk. It was a little bit worried the books inside were too heavy for the bag to handle, but so far it held up well. Sorry we got separated, by the way. It can get a little chaotic sometimes. So tell me, what happened? What did he say? What did he smell like? Does he have peach fuzz? Is it rough? Whoa, we just walked to class, my. Wait, what? These are very important questions I'm asking you. You need to answer them. Was his hair super silky, or did it give off the roughness of a dog's coat? What kind of men do you like, Mai? Before I could answer the door, the front of the room slid open and a tall woman strolled in. The class went quiet, obediently slid into their seats. My heart beat furiously, blood rushing through my ears.
Class?
Good morning, class. The teacher's melodious voice swam through the room, calming and buzzing high of the students back from break. My shoulders relaxed, and my fear embedded away. I am your teacher, Suzuka Wakisha. We're just going to call her Miss Shiz. Miss Shiz. You can call me Miss Shizuka. The emphasis that she placed on the word led me to believe calling her Mrs. wasn't a mistake she would take lightly. Some of you might have noticed that we have a new student this semester. Uh-oh. A hail of murmurs passed through the class. Some people glanced at me. That's the worst. Like, I don't know if any of you guys have ever been like the new kid in school, but like when you're the new kid, they like automatically point you out and they're just like, tell us about yourself in front of the whole class. And I'm like, yo, I'm still trying to get comfortable here. Don't ask me to walk up and introduce myself to everybody. Not yet. Let me learn a little bit about myself before I can project myself to the world. Nope, there was the fear again.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to come up and introduce yourself? I nodded, stood, and slowly walked to the front of the room, counting my steps to make sure I wouldn't fall. I faced the class, took a deep breath, and introduced myself, and I noticed a familiar face in the crowd. There was John sitting with two other boys wearing Normal Boots Club jackets. One of the boys, the tallest one, was staring at me, the barest of frowns on his face. Something about him seemed really familiar. Wait, he was PBG, wasn't he? The other founder of the Normal Boots Club. Suddenly, all the strength left my knees. What should I do? Why was he frowning? Was it possible that I already made a bad impression on him? You had to be kidding me. If he didn't like me, what did that mean about everyone else? Wouldn't they follow his lead? I swallowed. The faces of the class began to congeal, forming one giant blob. You moved here from Amarisu, right? I nodded, then swallowed again. Then, like a beacon of light, I noticed Mai smiling, giving me the thumbs up. That's right. What would Mai do in this situation?
Yes.
Yes.
I just moved here. My name is Hana Mizuno. I transferred from Amaririsu Public High School.
I like it when it talks for me, that I don't have to read it, but...
I'm really excited to be here. I hope you'll all take good care of me from now on.
She sounds so cute. She's adorable. Oh my gosh. I bowed my head to the class and they clapped politely. Wow. I remember when I did that, I didn't get an applause. I'm like, all I got was boo. It was like, hey, you could either listen to me or we could take a math test. Take your pick. Boo. When I looked up, PBG wasn't frowning, but he seemed oddly confused. Maybe he looked like that. Thank you. You may be seated. I returned to my seat, having a small sigh. The hardest part of the day was over. Suzuka began to talk about standard procedures for the semester, the rules for the classes, when homework was due, and that sort of thing. It was very similar to my old school, and I spaced out in spite of myself. A brief flicker of movement caught my eye. PBG again. I glanced at him. He snapped back into the blackboard. What was his problem? Class continued on like that until finally the bell rang and it was time for lunch. Ugh. Mai stretched her arms over her head and yawned. Man, I hate the first day of class. It's always so boring. Weren't you looking forward to it this morning? Something about exciting things happening? Well, yeah, but it already did. You met Jontron, didn't you? Now I've got nothing left to look forward to. She sighed. And I was hoping to see Jared before class, too. She slouched, fell across the front of my desk. It seemed like this would be happening a lot. Is Jared really that hot? My head snapped back and her eyes flashing. What did you say? If you stare directly at him for far too long, your nose will melt off. I've seen it happen. What? Anyways, let's head to lunch. I'm super hungry. Oh. I looked at my backpack. It held up well throughout class, but I was worried that if I didn't take some of my stuff out, I might do some permanent damage to it. Especially with Satch's book in there. I couldn't exactly afford a new backpack. I need to put something in my locker first. But if we don't go now, they'll run out of sesame seed buns. Buns. Oh. That's okay. I'll go on ahead. Come find me, okay? Alright. I was so lucky to have someone like her as my roommate. Quick as I could, I went to my locker and shoved the books inside. As a good book as it was infinitely happier that I had Mai around that I didn't have to read it. Without her, who knew what I could do with myself, especially with PBG staring at me like that. Maybe I could ask her what was up with him when I met her after the cafeteria. It might just be the way he was. Cheered, I headed for the cafeteria. I carried my melon bread through the minefield of people, searching for a now familiar sight of Mai's red hair. Where is she? I couldn't see her anywhere, and there were almost no empty seats. All around the students circled around each other, laughing, joking, sharing bites of food, and splitting the cost of sodas. Suddenly, I felt very obvious and very alone. Isn't there anywhere I could sit? Just then, I spotted a table at the front of the room. A lone boy sat at it, stabbing at his spaghetti with the vigor of a ramen general. He was having a hard time with it. I moved closer to him, working up the courage to ask to sit with him. Well, no wonder he was eating his spaghetti with a spoon. Wait a second. This guy was in my class, wasn't he? I saw him that morning in front of the room. And he was wearing a jacket just like the Normals Club, but different. A golden gray jacket with an 8-bit block in front of it. Was he a member of another club? Or maybe he was friends with them?
Hey,
Hey, what?
Hana.
Hana! Oh, Mai. Mai appeared between me and the boy, who glanced up at us before returning to his spaghetti. Thank goodness I found you. I saved a table for you in the back. Oh. I looked at the boy and then back at Mai. Come on. She grabbed my shoulder rather forcefully and then pushed me back to the room. Hey, what's wrong?
Well,
You are so lucky. I got here when I did, and that kid's Brutal Moose. His real name is Ian. He's from the Hidden Block Club. The Hidden Block Club? Yeah, the rival of the Normal Boots Club. He's really weird. I mean, she looked around and to make sure that no one was listening in, but we were completely alone in our little corner of the cafeteria. He speaks in Comic Sans. Whoa! Yeah, it'd be better to stay away from him, especially since you've already gotten to know some of the Normal Boots guys. What are you talking about? I only just met John today. Yeah, right. I saw the way PBG was staring at you. He totally likes you.
really?
Really? Is that what you thought that was? Either Mai was blind or she had a serious case of wishful thinking. Oh, totally. It was so cute. Just like my favorite manga. You meet in high school, fall in love, and then go off and fight aliens together. What? I don't think that's gonna happen. Have some faith in yourself. That's totally what's happening. So now that you're good in with PBG, can you introduce me to Jared? Oh, was that what she was getting at? A hot flash of doubt seized me. Was it possible that Mai only liked me because she thought I knew the Normal Boots guys? That couldn't be the case, though. She was so nice. Still, looking at her shining, eager face, I could talk to myself out of the idea. I actually thought PBG didn't like me.
What?
What? Why would you think that?
Well,
He was glaring at me. Man, you just don't understand. It's a love triangle. A love triangle. What? A triangle now? I can see it. Stars particularly erupted from her eyes. PBG, I can't. But Hana, I love you. But
PBG.
my maidenhood. Where are you going with this? I slammed my fork onto the table. Mai looked pleased with herself. Okay, I'm just kidding. You're really cute when you blush. You almost match your hair. That's not fair at all. I beg to differ. Still, I searched my mind, eager to change the subject. That was just an impressive scenario.
What?
Mai laughed nervously. Oh, so that girl that was talking to me when we got separated. Mai told me the story of her past friendships with this girl like they were eternal arch nemesis. Nemesis? Apparently they had some bad blood, aka they got beef. I nodded, choosing to take the time to relax. Before I knew it, we were finished eating. When I got up and tossed the trays together, as I headed towards the door Mai hesitated. Hey, I forgot something back at the dorm. Oh, need help? No, I'm totally okay. I'm just going to get it. I'll see you later, though, right?
See you later.
Okay, see you in class. I waved and Mai spinned off in the direction of the dorms. Alone again, I crossed my arms and headed back to Poppy Hall. Large groups of 7 or 8 people were laying out in the sun, playing catch, eating lunch on the lawn. It looked like fun to have so many friends like that. I smiled. Maybe this new school really will be better than last. Without a student inside of it, Poppy Hall looked a bit like an abandoned hospital. My footsteps echoed as I climbed to the stairs to the fourth floor. With a sigh, I opened up my locker and pulled out the book Satch gave me. It was a good thing I brought it after all. I stepped into the classroom and saw a flash of movement by the window. A boy sat in the windowsill as he jerked up when I came in. He was a silhouette by the afternoon sunshine, so I couldn't quite tell who he was. Hello. I'm sorry, did I bother you? The boy stood and shook his head, then crossed onto the desk on the opposite side of the room. As I passed, I was able to see him clearly. Another Normal Boots jacket. This guy, he was Shane from the Normal Boots Club. How on earth did this keep happening to me? Shane sat down at his desk, fidgeted around his hands a little, and then turned to look at me. You're the new girl. I nodded. My name's Hana. It's nice to meet you. He nodded. Shane. Silence filled the space between us. Panic built up inside of me. This was a chance to get with the Normal Boots Club, and I was blowing it. I walked to my desk and sat down, setting the books on top of it. Shane looked at me unsmilingly. You're part of the Normal Boots Club. Yes, I am. Why? He spoke as if I were challenging, almost glaring at me. I just saw your jacket, so I trailed off. The jackets are really cool.
Okay.
Yes, they are. Silence again. He seemed skeptical, as I expected me to crawl out of my skin and reveal myself to be a large anthropomorphic reptile. I had to do something. Who knew when another chance like this would come? But Shane didn't seem friendly. In fact, he seemed downright suspicious. Surely he wasn't onto me already. Maybe it was better not to risk it. Well, we gotta know these people because we wanna make sure that people know us, people know who we are. So we're gonna try talking to Shane. So you play games then? Shane looked often over at me. I've always been interested in video games, but I didn't get to play them much growing up. They're really expensive and my dad couldn't afford them, but I used to go over to my friend's house to play there. Shane didn't respond. Now what? I was out of stuff to say. What did you play?
What?
Is he smiling at me? What? Mario Kart? We'd go into battle mode on the triple deck. He would drive around himself to the top level, and I would try to booby trap the lowest level. There's a good spot next to the ramp. I'd wait there until my mom came racing down the ramp to find me, then smash her with the red shell. Shane's angry stare faded. He was smiling, sort of. He made the whole room seem like 10 shades brighter, or maybe I was more relaxed. Your mom must have been mad. She was. But she always let me do it. Probably on purpose. Did your mom... A door slid open. Mimi and her friends and a couple of chattering girls entered the classroom. They stopped and stared at me to Shane, and it was clear that they thought that they were interrupting something, even though they were sitting on the opposite ends of the room. Sorry. No, it's fine. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't happy they caught me talking to Shane of the Normal Boots Club. The girl went into their desk and sat down. What were you... Shane was staring at me again, an odd, hurt look on his face. I immediately felt like I was caught doing something I wasn't supposed to. Did he know what I was trying to do? But, I mean, it wasn't like I didn't want to talk to him. He was an interesting guy. It's not like I only talked to him because he was in Normal Boots. But he turned, pulled out a notebook and some pens and scribbled away, thoroughly ignoring me. The air was stuffy. I tugged the collar of my shirt, sweating. The girls kept looking at me over on the shoulders, as if they expected something. I smiled hesitantly at them. They smiled back, then started a conversation amongst themselves. The atmosphere was broken. I heaved a sigh of relief. What was up with these normal boots guys? John was really nice when I spoke to him, but PBG and Shane seemed to hate me. They were anything but normal. I waited for Mai to come to class, wanting desperately to tell her what happened. But when the bell rang, Miss Shiz, because I can't say the name, Shizuka, there we go, started teaching. Mai still hadn't come. Where's Mai? Class came and went, the bell rang, and I was alone. PBG stared at me for the entirety of the class period, then face growing more and more menacing by the minute. How his face was stuck in a perma-frown, I would never know. Shane and John didn't bother talking to me as they left the classroom, and the other students paired up around me. Click. Hey Mimi, would you like to engage in a casual discourse of the evening? Yeah, of course. But why are you talking like that? Characters. I stuffed my book into my backpack and headed to the dorm. With a sigh, I unlocked the dorm to my dorm room. As soon as the door opened, I heard, Hana! What? Mai and I lay a heap on the floor. I'm so glad you're back. She wrapped her arms around my head and nuzzled me. What are you doing? Come, look. She got off me and helped me to my feet. Without Mai's face filling up my vision, I saw something had changed. Oh my goodness! The dorm looked like nothing like we had before. The posters and fairy lights were still up, but now the window had light pink curtains and they cast a warm haze around the room. A brand new white carpet on the floor, pillows were piled high in the mountain of the top bunk of the bunk bed. Even our chairs had been replaced with new, cushy leather ones. What happened here? Sorry I didn't tell you, but I wanted to surprise you. I thought this would come in yesterday, but it was delayed by a day. I wanted to set up the big surprise. I'm still not done yet, though. She gestured to me some small potted plants arranged in neat rows near her desk. Want to help?
Yeah.
Do I ever? We finished setting up the room, switching up a few objects here and there in order to better facilitate the feng shui, which Mai told me was excruciatingly important. She especially wanted me to make sure the room was filled with reds, pinks, and a couple of items, though for what purpose I wasn't sure. We collapsed with a heavy sigh on the floor and then heaved great big yawns. It's not even the end of the day yet, and I'm so tired. Me too. Wait! She shot up suddenly with a jolt. We should have gotten some ice cream.
Really?
Ice cream? Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, something to celebrate being roommates. The ice cream here on the campus is genuinely good, I promise.
I
don't know. And I'm paying. Well, if that's the case, you made an offer I can't refuse. We're so cheap. Sweet, let's go. The school shop was in the side building off of the cafeteria. Packed with an instant noodles and a giant bottles of soda, students wandered around aisles aimlessly, clearing here to spend more time than money. Mai paid the cashier. We grabbed our ice cream cones, mine covered in sprinkles. Wow, this is delicious.
Yeah.
Isn't it? We're lucky to have such good food on campus. This place would be awful if we didn't. I nodded and was about to respond, and I noticed a commotion outside. Ooh, let's see what's going on. Mai grabbed my arm and dragged me outside. There were boys wearing normal boots jackets, were shouting at each other, each one of their faces turning purple. This again?
What?
What are you talking about?
Mamma mia!
It's the continue, guys. I'm clearly the one who possesses the proper masculine form. Yeah, right. I'm taller than you and more attractive to boot. Come on, guys. Can't you see these muscles? Nick pulled back the sleeves of his jacket and flexed his arms. These guys are always go on about weird stuff like this. They're very energetic. Oh yeah. Josh got into a downward facing dog yoga pose and grinned. Look at this butt. Just look at it. What I don't understand is why they don't just ask Jared. Oh yeah. Paul kneeled low to the ground, then took off in a sprint, heading straight for us.
Yeah!
Check this out. He sprang into the air, gracefully ballerina's leaves springing through the sky, and finally came straight for me. Oh! When I opened my eyes, he sprawled flat on the ground, covered in dirt. Something cold and wet oozed out the top of my blouse. Hana, are you okay? I sat up and chunks of my ice cream fell from my blouse onto my skirt. Oh no! What happened? You ran into someone, you idiot. My uniform, it's ruined. For a few seconds, silence, then snickers rippled around me like the whining of Sadakis. My throat closed, water stringing in my eyes. No, not this, not again. I stood up and prepared to walk away with dignity when the entirety of my normal boots club suddenly appeared in front of my face.
What's up?
What happened here? Seriously. Tears slid down my face. No, not here. I didn't want to cry in front of them.
Hey.
Hana, are you alright? I'm going home.
Hana.
Wait, Hana? It's fine. I just want to be alone right now. It took all of my will not to run back to the dorm. I immediately changed into my pajamas and climbed into bed, reaching for my stuffed rabbit. What am I gonna do? What if all this ends up like last time? Mr. Bunny stared at me with his big, lifeless eyes. I squished him into my chest, losing myself in his soft fur. The door opened with a soft click.
Hana.
Hana, are you okay? I rolled over to the bed to face the wall, pretending to be asleep. Mai stood in the center of the room for a while, looking at me. Finally, she sat down at her desk and began work on something. The sound of pencils scratching against paper stilled my mind. I don't know how many hours passed, but eventually I fell asleep. I woke up at my alarm beeping, feeling only dread of the hours to come. After the nightmare that was the ice cream incident yesterday, I never wanted to take another step out of my room. I curled up inside my blankets as my alarm went off. It was only the second day of school, and I felt the same as I did every morning at home. Mai, of course, was already up, and I could hear her hair straightener clamping shut every few seconds from across the room. I felt bad about letting the alarm go off for so long, so I slid my hand out of the covers to switch it off. Hana, get up. Get up, sleepyhead. I know you're awake. I didn't even have time to poke my head out before Mai slammed into the edge of the mattress, bouncing up and down. She jumped from almost halfway across the room.
Morning.
Ha! You can't hide from me, Mai. Sorry. I was breathless and calmed my heart before speaking again. Are you worried about what happened yesterday? No one cares about it, Hana. I almost forgot about it myself. She must have seen my face. She brought an arm around my shoulders and pulled me closer to her. For real, though. We're going to go to class. No one's even going to mention that you made a huge fool of yourself yesterday. You could have put it better. I'm kidding. It might have been a big scene, but it totally wasn't your fault. It was Paul's, all right? When you jump, you have to calculate your trajectory like I did just now. He could learn a lot from a master like me. Get dressed and cheer up. I could bottle up your gloom and sell it to a wizard, and if it was used for evil. You can't let it happen. You can't let that happen, Hana. Her smile wide enough to bridge a gap between continents. The beginning of the tears prickled back in my eyes, but this time they were for a different reason. I opened my closet and tried to avoid looking at my sad lump of clothing inside, slathered in dried up ice cream. I only had 2 uniforms, which cost my dad an entire month's salary. If I wasn't able to get the stain out of this uniform, what would I do? Sighing, I took my second uniform off its hanger, slipped it on as Mai waited impatiently for me. Ready to go? I guess so.
Yeah!
Good! And I think here is where I'll call it. Just because the episode went kind of long, it got a little emotional. I'm starting to feel really bad for Hana, man. It's like she just wants to fit in, and it just seems like everything that she does just kind of leads her to either being more embarrassed or just more just sad. And it's just like you can tell that this poor girl has had some stuff go down with her that not necessarily leads to like the most, pleasing things. So we're gonna see where it's gonna go from here. We still don't know who we want as our husbando yet, but we're gonna find out. So until then, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Asagao Academy, and I've been Benchez. This was my husbando quest. I love all your faces. I'll see you next time. See you later.